Cognitive psychology and neuroscience uh, gives us an explanation of what the development of the brain conception, what is how the hindbrain is formed, the forebrain, the central nervous system, the spinal cord. Um, the formation of the human brain during conception takes place during the fourth week. Um, the baby is able to develop both the hindbrain and the forebrain. Memory, intelligence, and intelligence quotient is based on our DNA, our genetic codes, our chromosomes. Um, we have the neocortex that correlates with higher mental activity, cognitive higher mental activity, and we also have the association lobes. The association lobes are the areas that connect with all the different types of lobes that we have in our brain, like parietal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe, prefrontal, prefrontal lobe, temporal lobe, parietal lobe. We are able to use more than 10% of the brain. When we do constant research studies, development of the human brain, when we're able to challenge, do mathematics, create logarithms, algorithms, create equations, that exercises our size of the brain that relates to mathematical equations. Also, we have the spatial perception, that's the ability to visualize and to be correlate with directions, how we are able to move from one place to another or correlate points in our mind with association areas that correlate point A, B, and C. A lot of people, an algorithm, as we can correlate visualization to an algorithm. When you visualize areas A, B, and C, you're correlating to how an algorithm is formed. Algorithm is the connection between points. Then you have logarithms, those are the logs when you substitute with numbers and then create and raise to an exponent. Then we have the cologarithms that correlate to a reciprocal number. Neuroscience is so fascinating. We're able to study, create methodologies, study the development of the human brain, how emotions are formed, what is personality, what is structuralism, what is behavioralism, what is cognitive science, what is neuroscience, what is psychology. There's so many different type of concepts and methodologies that we're able to help and show people how the brain operates, what is the anatomical structure of the brain, the human body, the metabolism, the mechanism, all those little cells, neurons, and molecules that take part of our genome and connect them, and determines how we're able to think and perceive things. Perception, very important when we learn cognitive psychology and neuroscience. Perception is the ability to perceive how we acquire knowledge. For example, we have wave patterns we have wave patterns that actually correlate to how we think that could either increase our IQ or decrease our IQ. Those wave patterns are associated with molecules, photons, protons, positive and negative minus. It also associated with the inner frequencies. Each wave pattern has a different size and a different effect on the brain. For example, we have wave patterns that are associated with how fast thinking, and other wave patterns are associated with low thinking. We also have peak areas of the brain that, for example, we're able to, it's called the rhythm, cardiac rhythm. It's how the peak hours of attention. What are the peak hours of attention? What are the peak hours of memorization? What are the peak hours of the concentration? When we study human brain and when we do research, we found that the worst hours, the lowest peak hours for the brain are between 1 and 2, as the brain goes not into a robotic mood, I would say so. And the high peaks of the areas of the brain are between, I would say, 4 and 9. 4 and 9, the person is able to focus and concentrate, and that's where the majority of the brain activity takes place. Um, Neuroscience is so fascinating. We can study the development of the human brain, the conception, the phases, development, regression, T distribution studies, so many different concept methodologies that will able to determine how we think, how we process information, how we behave, and how we relate with people. Yes, intelligence is genetic. It's 100% proven by, it's demonstrated by the codes, genetic codes from our father and our mother. The same as personality is heritage. It all correlates to how we are and how we behave. The brain decreases when is no longer active intellectually, or it goes through a robotic mode. It shows statistical analysis that most people that do not continue to do learning go to a decrease in intellectual quotient and IQ. This the program cognitive psychology and neuroscience is fascinating. We're able to see other patterns and ways and inner frequencies to study the anatomy, the neurotransmitter, the GABA, the structure, the limbic system, the central nervous system, the long-term potentiation, all different concepts, methodology, unity, structuralism, gestal theory. What is MSN messengers? What is DNA? What is our chromosome? What is our connectome? What is our genome? What is neurobiology? There's so many different concepts that are so wonderful to know, and that helps us understand how we are capable of using our brain, our human, that marvelous human anatomy that is our cerebrum. It's it's wonderful to be able to have a photographic memory. I thank God it's such a blessing. It is wonderful to have a photographic memory and to be able to view like what I read, what I do research, what I memorize. It's amazing, and I'm very grateful to God. I'm very blessed. I would say a lot of my research, a lot of what I do is just based on how we can improve and to help people reach, get better, and make changes. I see a decrease in intellectual activity. I was having a discussion with a professor, and we spoke about the decrease of brain power in the United States, the decrease of creativity, and people no longer have curiosity, intellectual engagement. And I see it myself. I see it myself when I'm at a bookstore. I see it myself when I'm at a metro. I see it myself that we're losing that intellectual engagement into things that are routine and patterns. Um, we're wasting our synapses into things that are not that intellectual engagement. For example, avoid texting, avoid browsing on the internet. If that does not help, avoid repetitive jobs. It's important for the person to learn that if you do not go beyond a page, your mode is gonna lower. So do things with your hands. Um, that that is a very good. It when you do things with your hands, it exercises your brain. Think I Thinking is not is a wonderful thing. It's a marvelous thing. You're able to help people. You're able to let them know how they can become better personas, personalities, how to become better intellectual engagement. Helping people, it's important to help them see how can they can reach their true potential. My PhD in cognitive psychology is fabulous. I love it. I love learning. I just saw quantitative and qualitative methods. I'm taking cognitive psychology right now, and then psychology. We see syndromes, mental retardation, chromosome 21, alcohol. Alcohol kills your synapses, your cell bodies, your axon. It makes a slower process between the brain. It makes a slower process between the chemicals that are connected within one axon to another. So please avoid drinking consumption of alcohol. Um, it's important to nourish your mind and to become um, engaged into intellectual matter. Avoid doing routine stuff, things that do not engage you intellectually, and try to enrich your mind into something better. Because remember, what we are, what we read, what we do research on, what we study, what we eat, who we correlate ourselves with. We that affects. There's so many different factors, even socioeconomic factors. Socioeconomic factor plays a huge asset on the development of the intellectual of the person. Socioeconomic asset does, and 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 nourishing with intellectual matter. I'll be give posting more on my research to help people. I love helping people. I love being able to share my research and knowledge with with you. Um, to see how you can develop potentially either mentally, emotionally, and through your behavior. It's important to have a balance, a clean, a, a clean spiritual life, because that's the most important part. We are made of patterns, wave patterns. Those wave patterns are known as quantum neurobiological patterns that correlate with other photons and electrons and positives. So basically, another simple word, similar quantum quantum inner frequencies correlate with the same quantum wave patterns. So it is important to always maintain a healthy spiritual life because you're correlating the same type of photons and molecules and photon and electromagnetic matter to you, Nidia.